Hello guys, and welcome back to another edition of Let's Talk About It. On today's episode, we are going to talk about the subject of the bodies of Mount Everest. So Mount Everest is arguably one of the world's most famous mountains, and it was first summited in 1953 by Sherpa Tenzing Norgay and Sir Edmund Hillary. And since then, it has attracted scores of climbers and mountaineers every year looking to follow in their footsteps. Whilst every climb and every mountain comes with its dangers, Mount Everest has more than just a few. Anything from suffering from severe altitude sickness to battling deadly weather conditions to avoiding avalanches or crossing the Khumbu icefall. Mount Everest is fraught with danger at literally every turn. And because of this, the iconic mountain has taken the lives of many climbers over the years. Now, if that wasn't bad enough, there is a strong possibility that if you die on Mount Everest, your body stays on Mount Everest. And that is due to the simple fact that retrieving a body from Mount Everest is a nearly impossible task. And it puts the rescuers or the recoverers of the body in too much danger to attempt this. And so here are some examples for you of the bodies of Mount Everest. If you climb Mount Everest, it is almost a guarantee that you will see a dead body. It's just part and parcel of the climb and something that you expect to see. One example of this is of the corpse of a man named Green Boots, named after the lime green hiking shoes that he's wearing. And this man's body, which is laying on its side in a fetal position, is used as a marker for climbers to know where they are and where they're headed. Now, whilst most, if not all, mountaineers know of Green Boots, no one knows officially who he is, but it is widely believed that he is Indian climber Teswong Paljur, who went missing in 1996. But the chances are we will never officially know who the body of Green Boots belongs to. Shockingly, where Green Boots lays, in a cave near the summit of Everest, there is another body, and that is the body of a man named David Sharp. David passed away on May 15th, 2006, and he can be seen sitting at the back of this cave, nicknamed Green Boots Cave, with his knees up and head down, where he is permanently frozen in that position. Now, there is a lot of controversy surrounding David's death, as it is said that many hikers passed him on the way to the summit, knew that he was in trouble, and didn't attempt to help him. Others say that he was too far gone and that attempting to save him would put the lives of other climbers at risk. But whatever the truth may be, there are many people who believe that on Mount Everest, reaching the summit far outweighs helping another human being. A controversial thought process, but it is something that has become commonplace on Mount Everest. So there is a section on Mount Everest called Rainbow Valley, which sounds lovely, but in reality it is anything close to that. Because Rainbow Valley is the name given to a section within the death zone, which fittingly has become a graveyard for climbers that have tragically lost their lives on Everest. And due to their colourful jackets, trousers, and their backpacks, and their large tents, and their coloured oxygen tanks, from afar this spectrum of colour creates a rainbow effect through the death zone, hence the name Rainbow Valley. Another body on Mount Everest is one known as Sleeping Beauty. On May 22nd, 1998, husband and wife climbing team, Francis and Sergei Arsenteev, attempted to summit Mount Everest without the use of supplemented oxygen, which they were successful in doing, making Francis the first American woman to achieve this. Whilst this was a great achievement for them, things took a tragic turn on the descent to base camp. On May 24th, 1998, another climbing pair, Ian Woodall and Kathy O'Dowd, were making their own ascent to the summit of Everest. On the way, they saw what they believed to be a dead body in a purple jacket laying in the snow. But on closer inspection, they realised that this woman was alive, and it was Francis Arsenteev. Now, the pair, Ian and Kathy, knew Francis. They'd shared tea with her in their tent, and they'd spoken at length about their home lives. And so because of this, they couldn't just leave her. So they spent roughly an hour trying to help her. And over the course of this hour, it became very clear that Frances could not move. And while she was talking and was conscious, she was not coherent, because all she kept repeating were three things. Why are you doing this to me? I'm an American. Don't leave me. But despite her pleas, and despite the efforts of Ian and Kathy, the weather became worse, and they knew there was nothing they could do, and so they left Frances where she would sadly pass away, and they returned to base camp. Also, having made their descent to base camp, after becoming separated from his wife, was Sergei, and so he waited at base camp for several hours for his wife to meet him, and when that didn't happen, he went back on the mountain in search of his wife. But sadly, a year later, Sergei's body was discovered on the mountain, and his death was put down to a fall and loss of blood. On the day that Ian Woodall and Kathy O'Dowd had attempted to help Frances, they remarked at base camp that she was suffering from severe frostbite and that it had turned her skin smooth and milky white, making her look like a porcelain doll, making her look like a sleeping beauty. In 2007, haunted by the memory of the death of Frances, Ian Woodall led a team of climbers to find her body. When they did so, they covered her with an American flag and moved her body out of sight to give her a more dignified resting place for not only Frances, but also for the son that her and Sergei had left behind. On the 4th of June 1924, climbing partners George Mallory and Andrew Irvine attempted to be the first men to reach the summit of Mount Everest. Two men were adventurers and thrill seekers and wanted nothing more than to be the first men to achieve this aim. On the day of the climb, they got their stuff together, left base camp and headed for the summit, thinking they would be back by nightfall. But tragically, the two men had drastically underestimated the task ahead of them, and it was on this day that the two men were last seen alive. In fact, it took over 70 years before either of their bodies were discovered. And this happened in 1999, when a climbing crew working for the BBC set out with the specific goal of finding the bodies of George Mallory and Andrew Irvine. And on May 1st, 1999, they achieved this goal, at least in part, because on the northern slope, what had previously been thought to be a flat white rock was in fact the preserved body of George Mallory. Whilst this was a great occasion, sadly the body of Andrew Irvine has never been found. However, roughly 800 feet above where the body of George was found was Andrew's ice pick, and so, due to a climbing rope around George's waist, it is believed that the two men fell from the mountain, and that is what led to their death. And as with most of these stories, there is a controversy around the discovery of the bodies, because due to the positioning of George, many speculate that he was descending the mountain. Therefore, questions remain as to whether or not George Mallory and Andrew Irvine were in fact the first people to summit Everest, and not Tenzing Norgay and Sir Edmund Hillary some 30 years later. But again, that is a mystery we may never know the answer to. Well guys, that's the end of another video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something from it. If you did, please give me a like. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.